Jake? Michaela? Sophia? Okay. Okay. I saw that, oh, there's Sophia. I saw 14 or 15 people submitted that activity to the assignments folder. That's where it needed to be submitted. I spot checked about 3 just to see if I could see, if I could open it up. And I could. I haven't looked at everybody's. It was not I know I called it quiz. It is an activity grade, but I'm taking the best 5 and I'm giving at least 2 more activities. So if you missed it, don't worry about it. Are there what I was going to do as part of the lectures, first of all, I'm going to answer any questions you might have. Your test 4 part kinetics is going to be released after this class. And I think I gave it 30 or 40 minute time limit. When I created it, it says suggested time, say 20 minutes. So I doubled the amount of time. And you get a 24-hour period to attempt this, this first test part. On Wednesday, we'll have the chapter 20 part. It'll be done the same way. And these are on Chem 101. Now, for your test 5, I'm going to try to do it on D2L with multiple choice, short answer, fill in the blank, that kind of thing. Because now I have the test bank. Hold on, let me admit this person. So. Are some of y'all coming and going? Like, I had already saw that Jordan was here and then I just let him back in.
Okay, it's working now. My audio wasn't working before. I couldn't hear anybody, but it's working.
Okay.
My Wi-Fi will cut in and out and it'll kick me out.
Okay. Okay, so do y'all have any questions first about, I don't know. You have your, on Chem 101, starting in about an hour, say. You have your first half of the test 4, and it's kinetics only. And then on Wednesday, same thing. If y'all even want to meet, I've been trying to make these sessions shorter for last minute questions or whatever. But then after that class, you'll have another 24 hours to do the chapter 20 part. Are there any questions with that? That's Chem 101. Okay, do you have any questions with either kinetics or nuclear chemistry? What I was going to do is go over the activity as sort of a review or summary.
So this might be a little late. I just wanted to make sure before we take the quiz.
Okay.
So if we had like three reactions, and then the one before the slow one says fast EQ, then we can start crossing out for the overall reaction.
No, what you would do, say you have 3 reactions.
Yeah.
Here, maybe I'll do one. Do it. Let's see if I can. I'm not try it. Okay, so you have 3, this would be a 3-step mechanism. Can you all see that? what you would do first is you would cross out anything that's called an intermediate. Well, anything that appears on either side of the arrow. What can I cross out?
C.
You can cross out C.
Okay, I'm gonna cross C. That's step one. Step two is go ahead and write the overall balanced equation with the remainder stuff. So I have, looks like I have 2 A's, 2 B's, a D going to 2 E's and an F. I didn't write the pluses. Let me write the pluses. Do we agree with that? Can y'all see that? Sorry. Y'all agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I know my rate law expression is allowed to be in terms of A, don't know what its order is, B, don't know what its order is, and D, don't know what its order is. Okay, so you write your rate law expression. Okay, then you go back and you look at, let's see, which way do I go? You find your slow step, which happens to be the bottom one, right?
Yeah.
You look above it. I don't see fast equilibrium. So you're only using your slow step. So I'm only using, oh, it's going to be just first order in A. That's all. Okay, now watch what I'm going to do. Let's say I switch it up. You find your, find your slow step. You check above. It says fast equilibrium. Check above again. You can keep on checking as long as they all say fast equilibrium. But the top one doesn't. So I'm only allowed to use number 2 and number 3.
Okay.
So it's going to be first order in A, B, and D.
All right.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah. So when it says fast equilibrium, you can put it in the rate equation, right?
Yes, you
Okay.
can, it blends in with the slow step. Okay, no, wait, one with the same reaction. Watch this. Let's do. Same reaction, but this time the fast equilibrium is below. You never look below a slow step. I don't care what it says in determining the order. You don't.
Okay.
So the second one is the only one. So it'd be first order in B and D. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, well, fine. And be honest. I mean, come Wednesday, or you can email. No, don't email me. Y'all are probably getting as many emails as what I'm getting. It's awful. Oh, let Matthew in.
What was the first one that you used there? Was the fast EQ over the fast, and therefore you can use the fast?
You're right. My first example, the fast EQ was at the very top, but it wasn't immediately above slow. So I could not use it.
Okay, so the first one you didn't use all 3?
No, here, I'll do it again. So the first one that I did, I put fast equilibrium here, and then I put fast in the middle, and then slow at the bottom, didn't I? Okay, that's the first example. So I find my slow step. I check above it, it says fast, but it doesn't say fast equilibrium. So I can't use the top 2 at all. You can only use above or previous to the slow step if it says fast equilibrium.
Okay.
Okay. So on that one, it would have just been first order in A.
Okay, but you still write the like sum equation.
Oh yeah, so I would write, you don't have to write the zeros in, but I would write first order A, 0 order B, 0 order C, or those are just ones anyway. So you could just do first order A.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, what I was going to say, I think when y'all take this multiple choice test, you should find that it's way easier than one of the tests I would be giving you. I'm just saying. I mean, and you do have enough time. For any student in any of my classes that needs additional time, because they've already given me the forms, I've allowed that. And so they should have no problem, you know, taking the quiz if it's time and a half or double time or whatever. But I really think I'm trying to, when it says, when I create these questions, or I'm not creating any of them. Some of them I don't even like, but they're so simple. But when I choose them, it tells me 30 seconds, a minute and a half, 40. It tells me how much time you should allow for that question. And when I say I'm done, it says, okay, this quiz takes 20 minutes. And so I say, okay, 40 minutes. It's not going to be bad, right? And y'all let me know how it goes. If you don't like it that way, then maybe I'll just start doing, you know, on Monday we'll have 2 problems like your activity. On Wednesday we'll have 2 more problems like your activity. On Friday we'll have 2 more, and then just upload the work. I think that's going to be more work on both of our ends to do it that way. But anyway, are there any other concepts or topics you want me to review? I did want to go over your activity. I've actually, gosh, where'd I put it? I worked it out. I can find it. Hold on. What did I do with it? Oh, here it is. Okay. Y'all want to do the data table one first, or the half-life one first, or does it matter? It doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can start with either one.
The what?
You can start with either
Okay,
one.
how about I do this? Do y'all need me to, hold on, because y'all may not have, let's see, where is it? Here it is. Okay, this was the first one. It's, I'm giving you a reaction so you know the rate law expression can be in terms of the IO2 and the hydroxide, but you can't put the 2s as the orders. You have to use the data in the table. Okay. So that you can see my work. Am I far enough back where you can see the top reaction in the data table?
A little bit further. You
Is
can't
that-
see the whole table.
Oh, you can't see the whole
Reaction,
table?
but now you can see the whole thing.
Okay, hold on a minute. Yeah, this is showing, okay. This one here, the top, is showing where I held the first reactant as constant as I could. So it's about a 1. What is that, 0.128 and 0.129? Have y'all had the kinetics lab yet? Is that this week?
Yeah.
It is? Okay, and then I'm glad I did this, because your concentrations will be pretty much constant, but your orders won't. You have to round them. That's why I did this. Anyway, okay, so if I keep the first reactant fixed or not changing, I notice that this one changes by about 2. It comes out as like 1.98 or 1.99, whatever, but that's close enough to 2. And then I do the rate. Whatever these two, experiment 1 and 2, I look here, 1 and 2. So I'm doing the same, I'm comparing the same order and the same experiments as the one changing here. And I noticed that was a 4.01. So then I say 2 raised to what gives me 4? Well, that answers a 2. So that's the order for the first one Well, we'll write the rate law expression in a minute. That's going to be the order for the, I don't even know how to name that, iodine dioxide, which I didn't know was a compound, but that's okay. Now here, I'm keeping experiment, I'm going to compare 1 and 3, and I notice that the second reactant goes up by, doesn't change, it's a 1, but then this one changes by about 2, I think. Yeah, 2.01, so it's about 2. So because I compared 1 and 3 here, I have to compare 1 and 3 there. So 2 raised to what gives you a 2? Well, 1. Could y'all follow that? Can y'all see it?
You
Yeah.
have it labeled as the top one is the hydroxide ion.
Because I was figuring out, here, let me write it in. I was figuring out the order for hydroxide.
Okay, you said that was the first one was the iodine oxygen thing.
Okay, let me say, then I misspoke. If I keep the first reactant fixed, then I'm seeing what the second reactant does to the rate. So this is a 1. This goes out. I ignore that. So 2, that's 1.9, what was it? 1.99 raised to what gives me 4.01 or close to 4. So it's 2 raised to what gives me 4. So I'm doing this order over here. Now for the bottom one, I'm going to keep the hydroxide the same, and see what the effect of the IO2 does to the rate. Well, if this goes up about, was it about 2, 2.01 or about 2, and this one goes up about 2, so it's like 2.01 and 2.04, that's close enough to 2 and 2, then 2 raised to what gives you 2, and that's a 1. Okay, now, so I figured out in this rate law expression, which is always the word rate equal the rate constant, concentration of any of the reactants that come into play, well, both of them affect the rate. One of them is first order, one of them is second order. So the overall order, you'd simply add up and it would be 3. That's one of the questions on your quiz. What's the overall order? I mean, A, B, C, D. Come on, we can do this. Here we go. So I picked experiment 1, and then I showed you I picked experiment 2. Y'all have to do all 7 of them in lab.
Oh,
Yeah, so you're having to do this 7 times. But I don't know, maybe Dr. Burns simplified it. I don't know. Anyway, so I plugged in the data of all my numbers from my data table. Remember the data table? I plugged in the numbers for experiment 1, and I solved for K, and I got whatever that number is, 9.67. Now, we went over this last time, but let's do it again. If this unit here is molarity per minute, and this is molarity 1, and this is molarity squared, or that's molarity cubed, one of those molarities cancels with that. So you get 1 over molarity squared minute. Did y'all follow that? That's one of the questions on your quiz, is what's the correct unit? Okay, if I pick experiment 2, plug in new data for the experiment 2, solve for K, that's what I get. Instead of 9.67, I get 9.72. Well, that's close enough. They're both about 9.7. Y'all are going to get numbers, though, in your lab, something point something times 10 to the, say, I can't remember, -4. But they're all going to be 10 to the -4s or 10 to the -5, whatever they are. The number that, because you're using different molarities and different rates, because you're having to figure out using your stopwatch, or I don't know how he's going to do it. I guess he's just going to give you data, but they're not going to all be the same number. But when you average them, they will average pretty close. Okay, any questions with the kinetics part of your activity? Did any of you, I mean, did somebody get my answers?
I did.
Okay,
I did.
perfect. That's great. Okay, the half-life problem. The half-life and nuclear stuff is not on the quiz starting today. It's going to be on the quiz Wednesday. The half-life problem, oh, let me remind you what it looked like. Let's see, where did it go? Right here. There it is. Starting with the 33.0 milligram sample of a radionuclide, how much remains at the end of 32 days and 10.5 hours? I should have spaced that better. The half-life of this nuclide is 4.18 days. Now, when you're given times that mix and match time units, like days and hours, or say I could have said in 13 minutes, you need to make them all the same unit as your half-life. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Example. Let me stop the share so I can show you. Okay, I think I did it over. Here's my work. If the time was 32 days and then these number of hours, I had to change the hours to what fraction of a day that was. And then I added it up and then kept the 1 decimal place, and that becomes my time elapsed. So I guess I could have said, we could solve for the rate constant up here, because if you know your half-life, that's the T1 half, and you know the ln2, natural log of 2, you can solve for your rate constant. This is the main formula. It just says natural log of initial over final equals rate constant times time elapsed. So I start plugging in what all I know. I know the 33 milligrams. I do not know the denominator. I don't know how much remains. I know my rate constant and I know my time elapsed. The time unit's going to cancel. So I get this number, and to clear the natural log, you can't divide both sides by natural log. It's a function. So you have the what's in here is equal to e raised to that number, and you solve for it. And then this is this part. And so if I just cross multiply this number with x, and put x on here and that below and divide it out, I get that number. Now here's a way you can check your work. Now this is the long way, but I went ahead and I'm showing you. And I don't want y'all to see this part yet. Anytime you're given a time elapsed, if you divide by the half-life, it tells you about how many half-lives happen. Well, every time a half-life happens, half the sample, it goes to half the sample each time. So look what I did. I know to go at least 7 times, but not quite 8, because it's 7.75. So if you take this starting number and you're just dividing by 2 every time you do a half-life, you're going to get this number. But that's 8 times. Your answer the answer that I just got was what, 0.152? It's between these. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's a way you can check your work. Y'all have any questions with that?
Since it's 7.75, would you just be able to divide it by 1.5?
It's an estimate. It's just a ballpark. I mean, it would not be, what's the word? It won't be as exact as plugging in the formula. Okay, any other questions? I definitely wanted to go over that because the kinetics quiz on Chem 101 starts soon. And I think I allowed 30 or 40 minutes. I don't remember. It's about double what they said it was, the time it would take. I think there are a couple tables, a mechanism or two. I don't remember. Oh, or, concepts about orders, concepts about units for the rate constant. What affects a question on the factors that affect rate. I think you're going to find that it's pretty easy. I hope. It's going to be my present to you guys because we're having to do it this way. I just want you to get the basics down.
About how many questions are there?
Oh, over 10, but I want to say definitely less than 20.
Okay.
Maybe 15. I don't remember. I've done 5 of these. I don't remember. Anybody else have a question? Let me ask this. Friday is, we don't meet on Friday. We're going to call it, regardless of your affiliation with whatever religion, we're going to call it Happy Friday. We don't meet. So because of that, I was going to say we didn't need to meet on Wednesday, but I am going to set up a Zoom meeting for any last minute questions you might have. I am not starting any new material. I may send out some notes, maybe Saturday, for Monday's lecture. Let me go and tell you what next week's is going to be all about: balancing redox reactions. So I'm going to teach simple, then we're going to build a level of difficulty. I probably won't get to the most difficult ones until Wednesday. Okay, so if I guess what I'm saying, I'm not taking attendance on Wednesday. If you show up, then you have last minute questions. I will answer your questions. I would like it though, if you do have questions, if you send me an email, I can maybe prep ahead of time a sample problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other questions? What did y'all do in lab last week?
There was no lab. Yeah, we only had to submit the chlorination pre-lab.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that was it.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So I know that you record these. Where do you post the videos?
Well, starting today, hopefully Mallory here is going to upload them to, I guess, her YouTube channel and then send out a link to you guys. How are you going to send it out to them? By email?
I'll send it by that
Mallory?
same email form that I used to send out SI schedule updates. That
Okay.
last email that you use, that Kim 1120P01.
Yeah. Guys, I had a almost 2-hour meeting on Friday. Well, no, it's maybe, hour, over an hour for sure. Bits and pieces with the tech support at Pellissippi with D2L. And they actually I allowed them to look at my screen. And we couldn't figure out why I couldn't do it to my YouTube channel, which I created. He goes, "You must not have created." I said, "Yes, I did." "No, you must not." And then he finds it. He goes, "Oh yeah, you have one." I said, "Well, show me how to put these recordings, these Zoom recordings, upload it to that so that I can click on the link or you copy the link and put it in D2L." And he couldn't do it. So I have another meeting today at 1:00. And I hope that he will show me how to do it or that we can figure out why I'm not able to do it. Anyway, so Cassie, to answer your question, where are they? Well, I don't know. They're in my Zoom meetings. If the guy can show me how to do this, I will go back. I've still got them all on my desktop. Because when I hit record, it asks me if I want to, save it to my computer or save it to the Zoom cloud. I always pick my computer. Maybe that's my mistake. I don't know. But Mallory here has offered, and I haven't reached out to my others to see if they would record for me for my 1110s yet. Because I'm really hoping the guy will be able to show me how to do this. His name is Royce. I don't know if y'all are also asking for help with D2L. But anyway, are there any other questions? Yay or nay? No? Okay. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this recording. Actually, it doesn't even say that it's,
I've got it recording.
oh, is that why? Well, I thought I hit record
Yep.
too.